Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast. And this episode is going to be a special one because it's going to be our last episode for the year. This episode is called Reflections, and we're going to reflect on our journey as content creators. And we're going to reflect on things that we wish we reviewed in the past and how our minds change in some of our reviews as well. If you guys like this video, please stick with us. But Dylan, why don't we get started with you?
It has been a journey. That's what I gotta say. Man, it's already been 2 years since we started this podcast. So
Almost
2 years, yeah. And this past season 4, I just saw we covered 71 episodes. That blows my mind, dude.
Yeah.
Like honestly, man, there's just. I mean, of course, there's a lot of stuff I wish we could have done more, but just because of our lifestyles, we have lives too outside of this podcast. So, but man, I mean, just looking back, it's been a journey, and I have to say I'm really proud of our progress, man. But yeah, are the things that looking back, you enjoy doing, or thoughts like you wish we could have done more?
Yeah. So for the most part, there was a lot of content that sometimes it was more like on the business side of like, let's just do this. Maybe you could get a good amount of views. But I always approach that as in, well, will it be enjoyable? I think the number one thing, it has to be kind of fun, right? Especially between you and me. We've been friends for a really long time. If anybody didn't know, that's how we started. That's why the lunch table is called the lunch table, because we used to talk all the time about movies and stuff and joke around in our high school lunch table. I learned a lot about content creation. I thought it was going to be pretty easy. I was pretty cocky in the beginning, but now I'm starting to realize that it is like kind of like we're working for free, right? We're not monetized yet. We don't have the clout yet. But I think we're on the right track, and I think we have the great mindset for that as like a business, because you kind of have to think about it sometimes as a business too.
Mhm.
Were there any things that, what are some of the things that you wished you reviewed back then?
Uh, Looking back, well, obviously Shang-Chi, we
Yeah.
missed out on that, because your bitch ass couldn't pirate anything.
I was trying to watch it through Reddit and like a pirate thing. It was a
That
struggle.
was a whole saga. You guys don't even know, like, behind the scenes, like, what we go through just to do content. Like, that whole, like, because Akram at the time, I think it was, like, during the pandemic, so he couldn't watch it in theaters.
Yeah.
So we were trying, and it wasn't out on Disney Plus for like a whole month. So of course, like we were trying to figure out, like, is it on some other third party website?
Right.
So there's some stuff that obviously are outside our range, or just because of time constraints. Sometimes we have to compress a lot of series as well, like Moon Knight and Loki. We only did like an episode 1 and an episode finale review, just
Yeah.
because like sometimes our schedule, and sometimes we're doing other reviews as well. So and sometimes there are bigger projects, right, that get a lot more coverage. So it is sometimes business oriented or business minded. Like sometimes you have to think, like, with content creation, what hits, what doesn't. But I'm proud of actually like the content we covered this past season, past 2 seasons even. We touched on a lot of like smaller projects. We touched on some streaming service series. Um, yeah, there's just, I mean, obviously going forward, we'll probably do a lot more like smaller projects as well, not just of course, like Marvel and Disney stuff. But yeah, is there anything you're looking forward to like next year to review?
Uh, well, yeah, I think I like the lessons that we learn in each season. And by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, we say seasons. It's kind of weird to say it on YouTube. We say seasons because we kind of started on Anchor, and we moved our way on into YouTube, and so we go off a season. So it's kind of like this tradition thing. So our next season, there's a lot of stuff I want to hit. I want to hit more less talked about things. I think sometimes the competition is there's so much competition that you're going to look at a reviewer that has the foundation already, that has like 50,000 subs and so many views and stuff like that before us, just because we don't have the ability yet to have that exposure. So I think when we reach or we talk about smaller projects, we could possibly get a good amount of views because those shows or whatever aren't really talked about on YouTube. And I have a good amount of stuff. I just want to say that again, if you guys stuck with us since the very beginning. We appreciate you. I always say that.
Always.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we can't do without you. Hopefully, the idea is because we try to start off very professional. My background, I've taken editing classes in the past, but I tell you what, though, those classes didn't really prepare me for these type of videos. They're really like hardcore type of 4K assets. Everything has to be as professional as possible. And I think when you start on a good basis, you could only go up from there. And I know Dylan too. Dylan's the one who designed our logo, and he has an experience in graphic design. And I
Hmm.
wish him the best for that. Are
Oh,
there
thank
any
you.
like I want to ask you? Are there any technical? There were. I just want you to say. Are there any like tech?
Technical motherfucker.
Yeah,
There's a fucking laundry list of technical problems I could
we
read
did.
off right now. Shit.
What's that? So in the beginning, right? Everybody in the beginning, um, podcast is this very famous thing. In the beginning, though, when you're starting out, I was not aware of how many technical problems we would face. That's like an old friend of ours. And also, we don't do this in person, right? So we have like just talking head square. So you have to find the right platform to do this. So some people
Mhm.
would choose Discord. We had so many problems with OBS. Remember the struggles?
Shit. Telling you there's a CVS receipt full of technical problems on this podcast,
It really is.
but yeah, I mean, God, I think we started during the pandemic, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Around that
So
time.
what's the funny thing? So Dylan asked me. We started really in Instagram. We used to do like mini reviews on Instagram Live for the Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah, it was during Mandalorian season 2. I remember, because we just had so many thoughts and we were reconnecting at the time because we
Yeah,
hadn't talked to each other in a while. And then I was like, "Oh, Akram, you want to like talk about Mandalorian season 2 on Facebook Live?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I got a lot of thoughts on it. It's cool to share." So that really kicked it off, and then we started talking more, and then I just had like a crazy idea. Sometimes Akram regrets it in his
it's
deeper
the biggest mistake of my life. I should have. If I knew now, like man,
Everybody has one regret in their life.
bro, that was one.
But yeah, but no, yeah, I had this idea. I was like, why don't we, since we're obviously two very passionate people about, entertainment, I was like, why don't we just start a podcast and then talk? A lot of people were telling us too, like you guys obviously have like a lot of great thoughts. You should, have a channel or something. I was like, oh, you know what? Why not? It's the pandemic. A lot of things are, starting from home anyway. So I was like, let's try it. Yeah, at first we started on Anchor, and thank God, Anchor was such a great resource, and we didn't really pay anything for it. Um, but now we've kind of branched out onto YouTube, and I'm proud that we have video now, so you guys can actually see like our genuine reactions to things. But yeah, I'm no channel is perfect in the beginning, right? But obviously, we had a lot of migraines along the way, and we still do. But they're not as huge as they were before. But yeah, it was just like we were just trying to get our bearings in the beginning, and we were trying to like figure out, scheduling, like times, like to meet up, because obviously we don't do this in person. We have to, it revolves around our schedules as well as the schedules of like things we're watching. So before we would probably like review something like probably a day or two after, but then we realized they weren't really hitting as much with the views. So we were
Yeah,
like, well, let's just try to get these out early as possible. So now we even stay up to like we call them graveyard shifts,
yeah, yeah.
where we actually stay up because a lot of things come out during midnight. I wish fucking Disney Plus would just do it at midnight.
It's
Those
at
motherfuckers
3. It sucks
3 in the
so
morning. It's
bad.
so fucking stupid, but I wish they would
Yeah,
just like upload it early. But yeah, sometimes we'll stay up late just to watch something, if it's episode by episode, and we'll just like hit it off as early as possible. It's harder when you're a smaller content creator because you have to do things a lot more efficiently. But I think we've kind of built something where we're kind of used to things by now, and it's not as hard as it used to be. And right now I'm trying to learn editing as well. Trying to help Akram out because Akram does a lot of the video editing for our podcast, and shout out to you, Akram,
thank
because you
you.
do an amazing job every episode.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, I mean, of course, there's strifes along the way. But I'm glad of the progress we've had. Glad of how far we come. I'm glad that now we're, bringing guests on, and this was like the first really season where we tried out, bringing other guests. We had Jerome for a couple of episodes, but we also brought Miller. We just had a conference a couple weeks ago where we talked about like potential guests we want to have on. I don't want to give any spoilers away yet,
Mhm.
but we have a lot of great ideas. But yeah, Akram, looking back, were there any moments you thought or just like come to mind last season especially?
Well, yeah. So I mean, it's funny. Like there are so many great moments when it comes to the success of the videos. When you could kind of see the hard work that you put in being seen, and like I remember our first video that had 1,000 and something views was Miss Marvel episode 3, I
Who would have
believe.
thought, right?
And who would have thought that was so random? I think it was timing. And that's where we kind of figured out it was kind of like experimental. We figured out what time is best to post. That's where we came up with the graveyard shifts, where like some things we really have to like watch it right away and review it right away. But not only that, I think the cool reviews, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, I didn't expect to get at least, it may not seem a lot to some people, but 200 to a smaller YouTuber is a lot, right? And that was really awesome. Um, I think even reviewing like I remember no, actually just way back in What If. There's some problems sometimes where like we're just so tired and we come unprepared. We reviewed like one episode of What If, and we didn't press record, so
Oh no.
we had to review it again. At least we got the
God,
practice.
there's so many episodes where like you guys don't even know. Like we just said like, oh no, like we look like the
Yeah.
scene in Goodfellas where Tommy gets shot in the back of the head. That's why we always
no.
make that meme.
Yeah.
Like the Dune episode.
Oh, he didn't record of his
Oh.
mic that episode. Yeah, if you look back,
Oh, I felt so fucking embarrassed.
I feel like to spit in my own face. Like,
But yeah,
That
there's
sucked.
sometimes there's episodes where like we have to do you're dealt the hand that you got, right? So you just have
Yeah.
to make the best out of it. But sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But
And technical stuff too. I mean, look, you even have like we're rocking the same mics and stuff like that. Like there's technical stuff where we just learn from the past and we keep going, and finding platforms to record on and stuff like that. There's a lot of
God,
we
that was a
migrated a
whole
lot.
saga. Yeah, that was like the way of the water. We were trying to find a new hole. Trying to find. Well, we used to do so. Our first episodes, we would like season 1, season 2 stuff. We would record on Discord and Adobe Audition,
Yeah.
just so we could see ourselves on Discord. But Discord doesn't have a recording feature for video. And then season 3, Akram really wanted to, show our faces, for a video format. So I agreed. I said, yeah, we should definitely like show, our genuine reactions. So we moved on to Zoom, and Zoom was good for a while. And I still would, if Zoom's video quality was better, I would still love to do Zoom. But
And not to
unfortunately,
pay. Yeah.
and yeah, that's another thing. You have to pay a premium for that. So, but I mean, Riverside's not as bad. I mean, we were at first. Akram was like really hesitant to use Riverside. He was
Yeah.
like,
I thought it was fake. Like I honestly, genuinely, because it's so. Again, I wish the technology. Like I feel like what is that line from Iron Man 2? The technology or something.
oh, we're limited by the technology of our time.
I really feel like that. Like I think when COVID hit, it was like people who actually have conferences or do content creation through podcasts and stuff. They have to like rely on Zoom maybe or something. And Riverside's really cool. It had its issues though in the past, right? There was a big problem with latency. The quality from the audio isn't really there, so that's why we have to use Adobe Audition for us to record at the same time as the video. We use Restream. In the past, if you guys look back, like in our Miss Marvel reviews and like probably
Oh God, I
Obi-Wan.
forgot about Restream.
Yeah, Restream was like I had bad internet problems. That's one big problem with this type of videos is that and then we found Riverside. I was hesitant. But thankfully, knock on wood, it's good, and shout out to you guys at Riverside and shout out to the Riverside guy. I don't know your name, but there's a guy that gives tutorials from Riverside.
For now, until it starts giving us problems,
Yeah,
then Akram's
yeah.
gonna spit on your channel.
I'm just gonna be like this the whole time. Yeah, they fixed up their act, I think, and for a reasonable pricing as well. Man, looking back at even because again we're planning to get ambitious guests, I'd say to say the least. Looking back, our first guest was Vanitas. Vanitas is like a regular here at the lunch table, and he helped us a lot in the past. I remember our first review with him was Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, it's interesting how our format was. It's interesting to look at how like some things are a little bit like not professional. Looking back, what did you think of that?
Yeah, well, first of all, Jerome is a good friend of mine. We went to grade school together. So it's cool to like to reconnect with him, and then
Yeah.
finding out he had his own, channel too. I definitely took advantage of that and said, "Hey, man, you want to come on our channel, and we can give you some, clout for your channel as well." So I was glad that he was willing to participate, and he's a great anime, fan as well. We talk a lot, now and then about old anime, new anime. So it just made sense, and being our first guest, there wasn't so much pressure like having like a celebrity per se. So it was just like a friendly face. You could, and now he's part of our family now. So it's like a lot of episodes we'll bring him on just to get his thoughts, and for the the Game Awards, he had a lot of great thoughts on just games in general. And then we had Miller on, and
Oh,
Akram, I know you were so excited when you first told me
yeah.
about your idea, and I was like, at first I didn't know who Miller was. I was like, okay, I was like, I'm just gonna trust you.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and then once he came on, and Miller, if you're watching this, thank you again for joining us. We really
Yes.
appreciate having you on. Yeah, it was just a really nice discussion, just talking about not just games, but just like the industry, just talking about life. There's a lot of celebrities I have in mind right now that who I want to bring on, and I'm sure you guys will be excited when they come on as well. But yeah, and we even had ideas to bring other podcasts on as well. I'm sure there's a few podcasts if you follow us right now. If you're interested, definitely hit us up. We definitely have a few ideas of who we're gonna bring on as guests for season 5 and the coming seasons as well. But yeah, it's just nice when you have like somebody else to like to just participate, right? Because I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard, Well, when I first pitched the idea, I was gonna initially do a podcast solo, but I wanted to have somebody on who had kind of like the same, passion and same kind of like mindset as me, so that we could have like a lot of debates and a lot of great discussions. So luckily, Akram filled those shoes, those busted up shoes, as we
Shoes.
say. um, but yeah, but then it's like when you bring somebody else on, they just like having a third or fourth person just adds something, to that conversation, and just kind of like challenges your ideas as well.
Yeah, and well, let me get your thoughts on, because I think that was the first realization where guests are really important. Well, let me get your thoughts on how did you feel when you saw that we were mentioned in multiple articles.
First of all,
Uh,
you woke me up at like I think like 8 in the morning when I first saw that show. I was like, "Oh shit!" That
yeah,
kind of like blew my mind. I wasn't prepared mentally for that, but that was awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, if you guys don't know, we were actually mentioned in a few articles. I think it was a uh,
PlayStation
PlayStation
lifestyle,
Lifestyle, and
comic book.
comicbook.com for our Miller episode. So that was awesome. Yeah, I was really happy about that, and yeah, I can't wait to bring so many other guests on. Just for great discussions. Obviously for bringing so many topics to life. I mean, Akram obviously had so many thoughts about Marvel's Avengers, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. So it was great to like bring those questions and theories out to the forefront. Um, yeah, man, and we're planning a trip to San Diego Comic Con
Yeah,
coming next year, so that's gonna be fun
that's
because
the
that'll be
first
our
vlog.
first vlog series.
Yeah,
So I can't wait to do that. I'm sure you guys will probably be excited, and that it's cool like when you actually get to participate in the stuff that you're reviewing as well, right? So
exactly.
it's not just waiting for trailers; you're actually there watching the trailers, right?
It's beautiful. I like that's one thing I remember when we were talking about. I the some of the most important things were branding and also a unique collection of different videos and playlists. We take playlists very serious on the channel because they kind of feel like different franchises for us, right? In one company or something. And so it's really cool that now we're gonna have a vlog and we're going to actually make it to Los Angeles, and it's going to be really cool because this opens the doors to like different places we could travel to as well. Maybe we could visit Galaxy's Edge, Avengers Campus, stuff like that. And
E3 we're planning.
E3. Yeah, I mean, all this again. We want a very diverse collection of videos. That's why we even reviewed like Teletubbies. That's our another playlist, like kid shows. Like, is this safe for you, your kids, and stuff like that. I think it's important. I think it showcases, or at least it trains people to speak about whatever. And I think that's important in a time where everything is very censored, everyone feels like embarrassed to say something. And I think it's important just to be very transparent and stand your ground in certain things. Um, and so, yeah, I'm very proud. I'm proud of just the visual changes from the past. I'm proud of like the audio kind of changing slowly. I'm still working the kinks out. Remember the hiss, the bad hiss? We were
Oh
struggling so
God,
bad with
don't
the
remind
hiss.
me.
Not the hiss from Control. It might as well have been, but it was like a hiss from like our audio in the past.
God. It
Um,
sounded like we had like Madagascar hissing cockroaches in every episode
yeah.
or some shit.
That's how it kind of sounded like. No, my audio. So because I guess you kind of developed this sense of being like an audiophile, because you always want it to be perfect. And we used to have like this really nasty hiss in the background,
Mhm.
and we used to use noise reduction, but it sounded like if I was washing my car while speaking. It just sounded very tangy.
And if anyone doesn't know, Akram was a fucking perfectionist to like the
Yeah.
T. So imagine like working with like our fucked up audio and shit. Oh God,
Like-
the messages I would get
Yeah.
like 4 a.m. Like, oh God.
This is an abusive relationship, guys. If you don't know, this is Dylan will see like a lot of voice messages on IG or something, and it'll be like something we had to fix or something that went wrong. Me cursing, me doing this and that, like saying "you idiot, you need to speak closer to the
I'm
mic."
basically Johnny Depp at this point.
Yeah, this is the Amber and Johnny dynamic right now. Like it looks all friendly, hi bye,
Right.
but behind the doors,
behind
it's
closed
like,
doors. Yeah.
It's like I hope you never succeed or something. But like content creation, that's what it is. It does become stressful when you're not doing it. It started off kind of like this experimental type of hobby, but then I think we both realized that there could be a future with this, and the way how we approach certain ideas and reviews, and we just want to make it as professional as possible. And that's when you kind of see that you're working for free,
Right.
and it's like, how do we
Mhm.
get there to get paid? And I think we're on the right track. And again, we have so much content for the future. We have so many ideas for so many types of shows. We have the vlog, we have guests, and we're just always trying to hit the high note every single time. It's not easy. You'll
Mhm.
fail, but I think that's part of the journey, and you learn from those mistakes. And we definitely are learning from ours. We definitely
Yeah.
are.
It always takes 2 steps back to get 4 steps forward, right? I mean, that's if that's one thing I've learned about doing this podcast. It's like sometimes you have to step back and really reassess everything so that you can fix things and improve yourself. And we're constantly improving in this podcast. Like if you guys you don't even notice it, sometimes there's subtle changes in every episode that we fix or improve from the last episode. So
Right.
like sometimes like Akram will go out of his way just to make the audio 10 times better than it was in like season 1 or season 2, right? There's a huge jump in audio quality now, I've noticed. Sometimes I'll even make suggestions. Like I do a lot of the graphics and the logos sometimes for some of the episodes. And I taught a lot of things to Akram as well,
Yeah.
just like about formatting and,
Yep.
and title fonts and everything. So it's great that we have a great marriage of our kind of like skill sets together. I
Well,
always say this is like our our marriage.
Tell them about the Defenders episode. How much trouble we
Oh
went to.
God, that was I don't even want to think about the Defenders of so that shit was like a passion project.
Yeah, so that was we had if you
I
guys don't
needed
know
James Cameron to direct that.
right, that's how long it took. It took like 12, 13 years. No, that so I again, it's all about branding. If I don't see many podcasts doing this, so don't like cop our ideas. Like kiss my ass. This is our idea. We love to be in theme, right? We love to just seem like very professional in a sense, like as if we're working for a company. So that's where we got this idea of like having custom backgrounds for each type of series, movie review, whatever. Um, and so in the past, Defenders was our first revisited. And if you guys don't know by now, revisit is like when we go look back at like movies that we have interesting takes on it, or like we think it deserves the respect to like take a quick look, or we never got a chance to review it in the past too. And Defenders, that was like 5 backgrounds, and each background, by the way, everybody, each background sometimes takes a total of like maybe 3 to 6 hours to make and then render. And then they're all 4K, like high assets, so
we
it'll
need
take really
fucking
long.
supercomputers to render this shit
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, and it is pretty taxing on just the type of tech that you have at the time too. But gosh, that was such a hard episode because we had the code openings, right? Remember when we used to do the code openings? Then we had the
Yep.
intro, we had everything, and then you also Dylan contributed, so he wrote like this whole document where it's like showing like what pictures or something I,
I
haven't
told
had to
Akram,
get.
I was like, I gotta, because we were up at like probably like 4 a.m. doing
Yeah.
this shit. I told Akram, I was like, because we used to do stills at the time too in a lot of episodes. We cut stills out now just because we realized that it's time consuming.
Yeah.
But we used to do stills with PNGs and JPEGs sometimes of just like stuff we were talking about. I told Akram, I was like, you gotta do it in digestible ways. Don't try to do it all at once, because Akram will stay up till like 5 in the morning doing this shit. And I was like, I didn't want him to fucking break down,
Yeah.
just losing sleep because of this. So I told him just do it in digestible breakdowns, right? So I would give him like a few PNGs on here, do this. So I try to help Akram as much as I can, because he does a lot of amazing edits for this project. But it's like you said, it can be very taxing. Content creation is it's like you have to be very efficient, very on time, and sometimes that can be hard when you're doing long episodes. Like God, I can only name a few, but our Valentine's Day episode,
Oh wow, that was a
we had
nightmare.
to, yeah, that was like almost an hour and a half, and we were
Yeah.
just going through so much. And sometimes we use stills for that too. Sometimes we use B-roll,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's challenging too, because you can't use a lot of things that are copyrighted, right?
Right.
So we just have to outsource and find things that we can use, right? So it's very limiting, but also pushes your creativity in a way. It
does.
shows you what you can do and what you can't do, right? Because a lot of times even the fonts that I choose for the title is like I can't find,
Yeah.
because they're either copyrighted, from like Netflix or something. So I have to outsource and use my own kind of like creativity for certain episodes as well. And Akram as well, like with music choices as well. I mean, I love I always say I love that one you always pick for the Star Wars episodes, because I
Yeah.
feel like it's so in tune with a lot of the stuff we talk about. But yeah, it's just like another challenge for us, right? But it's a fun challenge, and it shows us like how much we can get away with, right?
Yeah, and for you guys that don't know the workflow, so Dylan, I am the main editor, just because I have that experience. But Dylan, he really transformed since the beginning till now. It's like he used to be the guy who would intro every video, right? And I think it was just until this season where we kind of mixed it up, and it was like me and you, me and you, me and you. But Dylan, even back then, the workflow was he would like put markers for a whole video, and he'll then later on, then that'll show me where to put a still, and then later on he would get the stills, and then after that he also now does fonts. He'll do and really good fonts too, guys. Check out some of the backgrounds. Those fonts are
Oh, thank you.
amazing. Yeah, I love those fonts. So I'm gonna get it. I should get a tattoo of like the Wakandan Forever thing, like the sides. I love that shit so much.
Sometimes I'll do the social clips
That's
for
yeah,
our
exactly.
Instagram page
He
too.
takes care of
Yeah.
the socials, right? Exactly. Dylan takes a lot of notes too, so I could always rely on him in case if I'm slipping or something like that. So yeah, that's kind of like the workflow, and I think it works. I think for us it works because we're really great friends, and also it wouldn't be the same. It was just like by myself. I have my own channel, but like it's not the same. I don't know. It's like weird. It feels better to
Mhm.
share the weight. But we
Well,
always say more weight.
your video essays are really on point. If you guys haven't checked it out, check out Green Steel, because
Oh,
you have
thank
a
you.
lot
I
of great,
appreciate it.
amazing, and Last of Us is coming. I know you wanted to do your
Yeah.
project, but unfortunately, we just got so busy. But I know you're excited to review Last of Us coming out next month, right?
I am so excited. I cannot wait for that. I think that'll be probably one of the first show reviews that we're gonna do. Well, like, how do you feel about like where we started to where we are now? How different it is, right? Everything's so different. The way how we review things, our format, it's like very
Mhm.
like a show. How do you feel about like all those changes?
Well, I'm glad people can differentiate us now. They
Yeah.
couldn't do that in season 1.
Right, exactly.
But but yeah, I mean, it was a challenge from season 1. Like we always joke, we never posted our first episode on YouTube. It is on Anchor. I did post it on
I didn't want to
Anchor,
look at
but
that. Wait, tell them
oh
about the first
god,
episode. Just give them a tease. What happened in
that
the first
thing was the
episode?
ugly duckling when it first
Yeah.
came. God, I don't even remember what I think it was like Falcon or a Soldier and like
Yeah.
Bad Batch or some shit. But the first episode we did, funny story. Akram, we were trying to get our bearings and figure out what kind of podcast and what kind of format we were trying to be. But Akram was trying to do this weird this motherfucker was trying to do like a David Lynch film or some shit for episode 1.
The music, the dramatic music.
He was like, we gotta make the music like, so it was like so high, like you could hear it as we're talking. And season 1, like you guys don't realize, like I talk a lot louder than I was in season 1. Like I was so fucking monotone, like you could barely hear me. So imagine trying to listen to me while the Star Wars music is playing in the background.
my
It was like
God.
so high, and then sometimes it would like fade out, and you would just listen to the music. It felt like a fucking like an audiobook or some shit. I don't know. It was so weird. Like Akram's so
Yeah.
embarrassed to post
Yeah, I
I
feel
thought it was
embarrassed.
funny.
No, so I was trying my best to emulate the Last of Us podcast that I listened to like a behind the scenes breakdown. And the way how they did it was they approached it kind of like in a story sense where it's like each different conversation they put music that rises. I did it wrong though. This is my first time really going in depth with editing audio. And I didn't even know about copyright and stuff. So I was so scared. So I actually had to get sound effects, put them together. That took me so long, and it was just like random piano keys and
You might
stuff.
as well put the alien siren from Release Scott, like
It was kind of like that. I was like, literally, guys, it kind of was like that. I remember, no, the beginning. I remember I asked you, because I didn't see the Bad Batch. To this day, I still haven't actually finished it. I have to
fake
though.
fucking fan.
I have to because we have to review one day Bad Batch season 2. But I asked Dylan, give us like your take or something like that. But this motherfucker told the whole story, and I was just like there. I should have smoked the dart and like get a coffee or something. Like, he was like telling the whole story. I was like,
And I really like you want to talk about like break the fuck like new rock stars. I gave like the whole fucking plot of the series.
he really did. Like it was the whole thing. But then we talked about, I think, yeah, we talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier and like different stuff like that. I think it was really, it's really cringy when you look back. I think everyone's first video is kind of cringy when you look back, but it kind of, I think you need that embarrassment to kind of like not look back
I mean,
and
even
just
season 3 stuff. Sometimes I look back, I'm like, oh fuck, I wish
some
we
stuff
could have did
was
something
odd.
better.
Yeah, I forgot when everything has really changed. I can't really pinpoint. I think it was because we had a main background and then we kind of changed. Once we showed our faces, I think that was really like the start of figuring out these new ways to be more professional. And you figure out visual ideas too. Like you figure out some things just don't work or like placement of talking head and stuff like that. But also like the way you conduct yourself. So we used to have code openings. And so here's the analytical side for you guys. So that was Dylan's idea. So when we used to record only audio, Dylan had this idea where maybe we should talk about like things in the beginning that we won't really have like a full video for. So we'll say like a new show like Love, Death, and Robots or something like that, season 2 or something. We'll talk about that.
They were kind of like icebreakers for a lot of the episodes that we. So you'll see these in some podcasts where like they just talk about like a segment or something that they're just like going through or something. So we used to do those, but then we realized a lot of people didn't stick around for those.
They left,
and
yeah.
yeah. So we wanted to just get back to like the heart of our episodes and just really jump into the topics. So I mean, eventually maybe we'll bring those back. It depends how well our channel does. I mean, they were really fun sometimes.
They were. There were some good moments from those. That's where you get to see more of our personal side. But then like I really looked back at the analytics and I was like, I figured if you hover over the thumbnail, I mean, I believe like you have to make the video look attractive. So that's one of our unique assets from us is like the background. So I think if you hover over it, it looks very themed. And you click on it though, and it's just two guys talking about like rain or Swiss cheese for like 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden it's like, and I put chapters, but people never really care about that. So it was better to ditch those. And it made the videos a little bit shorter. I think that was also important. So, you're always constantly trying to find ways to get people to stick around. I think that's important.
I always laugh because when I first pitched the idea to Akram, and he was like, "Oh, well, how long do you think they should be?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like 5 minutes, and he was like 5 minutes, but then like our fucking Morbius review, we did like a 20-minute cold open about the Oscar.
It wasn't really worth like talking about it too much. I know. Yeah, it's just funny. It's again, you have a good time when you're recording. Some ideas change just because after the recording, when you think about it. What else did we used to have? I think we used to have we had another thing actually that was pretty different in the past. I can't put my mind on it right now. But yeah, so all right. So before we kind of talk a little bit more about the future, though, like the real deal future stuff, why don't you tell everybody like who you really are, just so people could get a good sense of Dylan.
You want my fucking social security numbers?
Yeah, give them show them, put your license on the camera like that.
My LinkedIn is down in the chat. No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm a college student. I just turned 26. Well, what's today? At the time of this recording, I'll be 26. So my birthday just passed. So yeah, I'm a college student. I'm from New Jersey. Me and Akram used to live in Philly. We went to high school together. That's where we kind of like became friends. And I'm a huge nerd. I enjoy movies, games, TV shows, everything in between. I listen to a lot of different music sometimes. I try to get Akram into some of my stuff that I like sometimes. Sometimes he's very hesitant, sometimes he's very open minded.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm a very creative person. I do photography on the side. Sometimes I do art. I used to draw when I was younger, but I don't do as much now. But man, I'm a very nostalgic person. I always love rewatching old stuff from like the '90s and stuff that from my childhood. So a lot of stuff in the future, guys. I'll probably do that too. I'll probably touch on a lot of stuff from my past and my childhood as well. But Akram, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah. So I again we came from the same high school. That high school was like very art influenced. So I was a theater major, and Dylan was a dancer.
Visual
No,
arts.
Dylan. Yeah. So I was always interested in acting and just movies in general. And then I think a lot of young people go through this. I think a lot of young people have a hard time discovering what they really want to do in life, and some people are really sure. So just going from high school to college, I realized that I think like a big depression goes over everybody. And I think I started to realize a lot of things about life and myself and my limitations. And I actually dropped out. But then after a while, I realized that, well, there's something now that I want to achieve. So I went back and I
Hmm.
had a brilliant professor before our podcast, and she talked a lot about narratology. And I also had a
Hmm.
brilliant editing professors as well, and I think that implanted some seed of like, it reminded me of my passion. And it reminded me that you have to look into the details, right? And I think that's the same thing like any type of business that you want to start to. I think if you think smaller, you have a larger landing pad for ideas.
Hmm.
And I appreciated that, coming from a person that was very disillusioned with life at first and now having something to fight for. I think everyone's trying to get that. And it just reintegrated this idea that I can be better and I could also pursue my passions. And that's what I'm doing right now. And who knows
Hmm.
where the road will take me. I'm going to try to aim for the right spot. But again, I am glad I have a friend like Dylan. I'm glad I have my family. I'm glad I have
Oh,
my
thank you.
friends. Yeah, of
I remember a
course.
long time ago you said you wanted to be like a writer for IGN. Is that still something you want to do, or have
Yeah.
you kind of found a new passion?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm very like, guys, I am a huge fan of video games. We don't talk about them a lot on this channel, but I really am, and I'd love to still write for IGN. I'd still love to maybe freelance for different things. It's just at the moment, still trying to just get studies done and whatnot. But who knows, especially this platform. I think I love YouTube because it's like so freeform. I know they censor a lot of stuff, but we're not like doing some hardcore bullshit or whatever. So it's okay for us. I think it's a great way to network as well. That's what you need in that type of field, to network. So you never know. I mean, guys, we have a lot of guests that we're planning to get on, and they're pretty well known too. I'm not going to spoil anything, but that's a good tease. Um, but yeah, man. So now that we set our that's, I feel like Jerome now. Like now that we set a piece about that, he said that in Cowboy Bebop. I felt so embarrassed because I asked him something. He
We
said we
quote
set a
Jerome too
piece.
many times on this
I know
podcast.
Jerome. Hey, he's a part of the family. Yeah, he's. You guys are gonna see a lot more of him in the future. Um, but yeah. So why don't you tell us? We gave a lot of shout outs to some things in the future, but I just want you to
Mhm.
tell them how many videos we plan to have for season 5, and it's a lot because we had 70. Imagine next season.
Oh God, there's a laundry list.
Mm,
Well, of course, Akram wants to do Last of Us, the HBO series with Pedro Pascal, and I'm down for it. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not really like uh, um knowledgeable of the franchise, but I'm getting into it, so I'm glad that Akram's my guy because nobody knows more about it than him.
I love it, man.
Um, of course, we're gonna do a lot more, Disney Plus stuff as well, a lot of Netflix stuff as well. So many great shows and movies coming out next year and the year ahead. Um, yeah, what are you most excited for, Akram?
Yeah, well, listen, you still have to catch up on Succession. I thought you watched it all. You guys could go back and you could
Shit.
see so many times I mentioned Succession. I cannot wait to review that. I mean, so how we love when there's a Netflix series because they just show the whole thing and then we could just do one video. It's less work, right? Um, Definitely a lot of Star Wars properties, Marvel properties. I can't wait because now it's kind of like it's funny. Marvel just ended their phase 4, and we're ending our season 4. So it's like
Right.
we could start new, right? So I can't wait for all that type of stuff. HBO Max has plenty of great shows. I want to review Barry. Like I want to review House of the Dragon more.
Yeah.
Again, Succession, Euphoria, Peacemaker, whatever. And we also want to do like a lot of type of lesser known projects, kind of like short films. We want to tap into that market, and maybe we could get some guests that are like that worked there before or something like that. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, we also want to do some more Let's Talk Abouts. I think those were really
yeah.
fun as well.
Let's Talk Abouts are really great. They're the most podcasty stuff because we're a weird podcast. We're kind of like an amalgamation of a lot of ideas. Definitely more Let's Talk Abouts. I think we mostly react to Jeff. Jeff is like, what do you call him? Jeffna instead of Vecna is Jeffna. Yeah, when we see this motherfucker like goes like this, we're like,
you guys don't know, like Game Awards is like as much as, or like game events, as much as we love them, they're like the bane of our existence.
It's hard
just
because
like
yeah,
the time.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot of work, but they're fun to do.
They're fun. They're exciting. Yeah, but I mean, we have like Summer Game Fest, we have Game Awards, we have, and then there could be other stuff too. I don't know when E3 is gonna rear its sexy head, but we'll see.
Mandalorian season 3, of course.
Yeah. Oh, even like shows like animation. Because that's one thing too. We had the most views ever for Cyberpunk 2077.
That was insane. Yeah,
that was insane. I did not expect that, and it was well received too by the likes that we saw. So thank you for your support. We want to do a lot more like animated stuff, like Castlevania, Invincible. But yeah, like it's gonna be a really exciting season. It's gonna be really different. We want to also provide a platform for many types of voices as well, and we just want to hone in on the professionalism, and we just want to provide great, diverse content for you guys watching this right now. And again, we always appreciate you, and we always love you. As I always say, thank you so much for sticking with us. But I think that's pretty much wrapping up our reflections. Do you have any final thoughts before we go?
Well, firstly, I want to thank you, Akram, for, of course, agreeing with me that first day I asked you. That was basically my proposal.
Don't thank me just yet. I don't know. I took the free trial.
She's got the divorce papers like ready to go.
This is my free trial. I'm not liking it so far. So, well, no, anytime.
But no,
I'm glad
thank you.
to,
Thank you so
course.
much for coming
Thank
on,
you.
man. I can't do this without you. And
Thank you.
we have such a great dynamic and a great, friendship.
Yeah.
And of course I want to thank everybody listening to this episode and, taking time to really get to know us and all our supporters, all our friends, all our family, and people we don't know, that have just come out to us and, told us how much of a great job we're doing and, giving us, even just criticisms of how we can improve our podcast every day. I want to thank all our guests that have come on, Jerome, obviously, Miller. Thank you guys for making such fun episodes with us. Really, they were really like great conversations to have. And yeah, I just want to thank, the platforms we're on, of course, YouTube, Riverside, Anchor, it really was a great start for us. And we're getting there, guys. We're slowly but surely getting there. I have a feeling, I told Akram, I said next year is really where we're going to kick off and really start becoming the podcast that we want to be, right? Or the podcast that we need to, whatever the fuck that Christopher Nolan quote was from Dark. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but yeah, thank you guys again. I hope everybody has a great Happy New Year. And I hope everyone's 2023 is really great and successful for everybody. And yeah, if you haven't checked us out already, please do. Even if we're not your type of content, just give us a shout out or share with somebody you do know. But yeah, thank you again.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it from him. Yeah, if you guys made it to the end, please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. We already talked about stuff that we have in the future, so this will be ending our season 4. Again, we have plenty of content for season 5, and we're gonna hit it hard. And I hope you guys stick with us. And also, some people that we mentioned in this video, check out Miller on Twitter, right? He's a great guy. Check out Jerome as well, aka Black Vanitas. He's starting back with his
Don't use his government name.
Don't use his government name. We always say Jerome or Vanitas, Black Vanitas. And check out our social channels as well, right? Show us some love there, especially like Instagram, TikTok, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we said our piece. So I don't know what else to say because we said so much already. That's why. I was gonna say thanks for having lunch with us by accident.
Don't steal my line.
Right.
Well, fuck, you already said it. So, as you would say, see you guys.